Joe Souchere.
John might have mentioned this. I don't recall. We lost a fellow named Warren Upton, the oldest living survivor of Pearl Harbor.
I did do that story.
Okay, then never mind. He died at 105 last week or 2 weeks ago. And God bless him. He was, he was there.
105, though.
Warren Upton.
They don't make them like they used to.
Great living America.
Where's he from? I don't remember that part. What part of the country does he hail from?
Well, he died in California.
People move around a lot, though.
He was the last remaining survivor of the USS Utah, a battleship moored at Pearl Harbor when the plane struck. Turns out he's now the last surviving member of any ship that was there. He died in a hospital in Los Gatos, California. That's southwest of San Jose. He suffered from pneumonia.
He suffered from being 105. I mean,
So the USS, okay, I'm trying to find out where he was raised. He was then 22 years old. He was getting ready to shave when he felt the first torpedo hit the Utah. Those on board the ship did not know what made the ship shake. When the second torpedo hit, the vessel began to list, taking on water, and then it capsized. He swam to shore to Ford Island to the east of Pearl Harbor and then jumped in a trench where he stayed for roughly 30 minutes until a truck came and took him to safety. In an AP interview, Upton, then 101, said he didn't mind talking about Pearl Harbor, but rather is more upset that he lost shipmates over the years. At the time, in just 3 years ago, he was one of 3 Utah crew members still alive. And now he's departed. And
how could he swim with units that were made of brass? Keep him afloat like that.
That's what kept him.
Gotcha.
Boy, I shouldn't throw this out there without knowing what I'm about to say. That didn't make any sense. PBS is rerunning this thing about Hemingway.
I saw.
Remember that?
I didn't see it. I saw it in the newspaper. Yeah.
And I swear that Hemingway was at Pearl Harbor a few months before it happened and said, well, this isn't good. The entire fleet is in the harbor here. Something could happen. Am I right about that?
That's not ringing a bell. I do know that Hemingway used his own boat.
Yeah, that was a boondoggle.
Cruise around for submarines in the Keys.
Just
He
get
was half in the
blasted.
bag.
with
Looking
his
for
buddies.
Bigfoot.
And he really hoodwinked the government with that. He got all the fuel you would ever need when fuel was being rationed. Yeah.
He had some issues.
Islands in the Stream was the book that resulted from that.
Right. Yesterday, I should have mentioned this regarding my belief that Walz should be impeached. Remember, he's using the excuse for the fraud committed under his eyes. He's using the excuse that, well, we're just friendly. We have a generous culture and we haven't been skeptical enough, which is utter nonsense.
He should have thrown a knucklehead,
Well,
too.
here, that's the point this emailer brings up. Dave Johnson writes, Walz is very emboldened now that he's back under the protection of the Star Tribune and Esme Murphy. His comments about the new fraud initiative shows that he's attempting to use the same tactics as during the campaign.
Yep.
He's using a version of the knucklehead defense, now called the generous and trusting defense. He's trying to make his lying, exaggerations, and incompetence sound endearing. Oh, I just get carried away sometimes, but people know who I am. I'm such a nice, generous, trusting guy that I really shouldn't be held accountable for anything I do. And knowing Minnesota media, the emailer concludes, he'll get away with it. Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Wow.
But remember, he even during the campaign, when he was called out on obvious lies, he said, well, I don't speak so well. Which I thought was a really clumsy thing for a teacher to admit to.
Sure.
He threw himself under the bus.
Who was the emailer? I'm sorry?
A guy named Dave Johnson.
Dave's right, though. He's totally going the Ralph Wiggum route.
Well, he's going the knucklehead route.
He wants to be an endearing doofus.
Yeah. I don't know who Ralph Wiggum is.
Simpsons character. Great character.
Can I? I'm going to tell you this once.
Uh-oh.
I think I know what's coming.
Me too.
Never use that reference again, ever. No, I'm serious.
Okay.
Jesus, God in
Oakley
heaven.
dokley.
Work my ass off to have a real show, and you use a Simpsons analogy. I never want to hear it again in my life.
Okay.
Ever.
Thanks, Ned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another one.
Yep.
That's pretty silly.
God, what's wrong with you idiots?
I'm the only one not continuing it.
I think we should all just kick back and have a little duff.
You know,
That's what
it's the knucklehead defense, not the Ralph Wiggum defense.
Joe, I'm a knucklehead. Sorry.
Oh.
Thank you.
Well, I don't buy it, and I think I hope many people are awakening to not buying it. Canada is awakening. Trudeau is so at odds with his own party that he's going to step down. Pierre Poilievre, our famous fellow we fell in love with while eating an apple,
Such a great
while talking to a reporter who he just turned upside down. I think Pierre Poilievre has a great chance to become the Premier of Canada, and that would just be a complete ray of hope.
Topic. I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
Well,
love his voice.
appealing to people's more emotional levels, I would guess. I mean,
What do you mean by that?
certainly
Give me an
you tap very strong ideological language quite frequently.
Like what?
Left wing, this and that, right wing. I mean, it's that type
I
of
almost never
ideological
talk
thing.
about. I never really talk about left
But
or right.
anyways, a lot
I
of
don't
people
really believe in that.
Okay. A lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but
Like who?
Chomping.
I don't know who, but
Well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
you must know somebody.
okay. I'm sure there's some out there, but anyways,
Some
the
people
point
say.
of this question is, I mean, why should Canadians trust you with their vote, given not just the sort of ideological inclination in terms of taking the page out of Donald Trump's book, but
What are you
also
talking about? What page? What page? Can you give me
Okay.
a page? Give me the page. You keep saying
in terms of turning things quite dramatically in terms of Trudeau and the left wing and all of this. I mean, you make quite a it's quite a play that you make on it. So I'm
I'm not
just
sure.
wondering.
I don't know what your question
Okay,
is.
then forget that. Why should Canadians trust you with their vote?
Common sense.
Okay.
Common sense for a change. We're going to make common sense common in this country. We don't have any common sense in the current government. The guy prints $600 billion, grows our money supply by 32% in 3 years. That's growing the money 8 times faster than the economy. No wonder we have the worst inflation in 4 decades. I'm going to cap spending, cut waste, so that we can balance the budget and bring down inflation and interest rates. You'll want to be able to pay your mortgage again? You want to be able to afford rent? Then you have to vote for Pierre Poilievre, because I'm the only one with a common sense plan that will bring back the buying power of your paycheck.
God, please protect him. Please protect him.
No doubt.
Could you give him a ray of hope, please?
for
Because
sure.
it seems to be absent from my screen.
Here's today's ray of hope.
For some reason, he reminds me of Elliot Gould in MASH.
He kind of sounds like him a little bit too.
Yeah.
It's official. Joe Biden, by the way, he's turning the, what medals is he giving? What are those medals, John?
The Congressional Medal of Honor,
No.
the 19.
Yeah.
What are they called?
Medal of Honor.
Medal of Honor. He's turning it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Who doesn't get one?
Right. All are welcome.
Oh,
here.
yeah. U2 guy was in there, wasn't
Bono.
he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did watch that. That happened to be on CNN covered it, and I just wanted to see how everybody.
How about
standing ovation for Hillary?
How about that change, though, Matthew? Bono goes from being the rebel and singing about, government oppression around the world, and especially his home country, to being honored in the White House.
Right.
Well, George Soros got one.
Yeah. And Hillary. Yeah.
I believe George Soros is an evil presence upon the land. Hunter
His
Biden's
kid.
a friend got one.
His kid, Soros's kid, just looks creepy.
Yeah. Well,
he
Joe-
doesn't have a good
A buddy of Hunter Biden got one for no other reason that he was Hunter Biden's buddy.
Oh, he's coke dealer.
That's cool, dealer.
And now Biden has banned all future offshore oil and gas drilling in an effort to sabotage President Trump's vote to unleash American energy dominance, which of course includes offshore drilling. Now, it's the certain media are calling this revenge against Trump. Isn't it revenge against us? Because we didn't vote for this fossil? This is yet another example of these. This guy, of course, has been the third rail his entire life. They don't give a bleep about you or me. Biden announced Monday morning he's utilizing his power under the 70-year-old Outer Continental Shelf Land Acts to block all future and oil, natural gas leasing in more than 625 million acres of federal waters. It was established in 1953. This act gives the U.S. jurisdiction over submerged lands beyond state coastal waters and allows the feds to lease offshore resources. Biden's ban will put a permanent halt to offshore drilling in all federal waters off the east and west coasts, the eastern Gulf of Mexico, portions of the northern Bering Sea and Alaska. The western Gulf of Mexico, where drilling is already happening, would still be permitted to drill. Biden contends that allowing more offshore drilling will result in irreversible environmental damage. We don't know that. Can Trump overturn this? Trump responded to Biden's latest scheme while being interviewed by conservative radio host Hugh Hewitt. He called the move ridiculous and vowed to reverse it as soon as he took office. I see it just came over that Biden has banned all oil and gas drilling across 625 million acres. Trump stated it's ridiculous. I'll unban it immediately. Well, if he can, great.
Congress would have to change the law there, Joe.
Yeah, I just see it. Okay. Unlike traditional executive actions, Trump will face an arduous process in trying to override Biden's latest act of sabotage. A 2019 court ruling states that presidents do not have the authority to overturn prior bans issued under the Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act. Trump lost a bid to reverse Arctic and Atlantic Ocean bans made by Obama near the end of his presidency. So the outgoing Obama and Biden are really trying to pay their due diligence to their environmental supporters and the Mysterians who want to bring about the conclusion of this country, would be my estimation. There's a great line in this. I've become hooked on watching this show called Landman that features Billy Bob Thornton as a Texas oil well, he's not a roustabout. He's an executive, but he's in the field. And I'm almost ready to give up on the show because it's become so over the top with the two female characters who are just eye candy that serve no purpose other than to be terribly confusing for how daffy they are.
That's how he writes, though. That's
Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah, that's his deal.
Yeah, but everybody swore by Yellowstone. Did he go crazy with the chicks in Yellowstone?
No, the chicks were the opposite in Yellowstone.
Yeah, they were the opposite, right. But, there's just a lot of killing, which didn't make any sense.
But Billy Bob Thornton's wife, Allie Lardner, and the daughter, who's 17, but I guess she's played by a 25-year-old actress whose name escapes me, they're undeniably riveting to look at. But what's the point here? Anyway, I think in the very first or second.
So I don't know why I keep watching.
Right.
Well, I like the.
I think he admitted why he does.
I like the oil part. It's either the first or second episode. Billy Bob Thornton takes this other extremely attractive babe out to a oil rig. She's a lawyer. Yeah. Just a vicious lawyer, and he gives her a lecture about the importance of oil. But the best line is, he says, if you thought these things worked, Why doesn't BP and Shell and everybody else have millions of them all over the world, meaning windmills? Well, the point is that they don't work the way oil works. Oil works. Biden just canned drilling, and Trump is promising to try to undo that ban, but he'll have to, as we've noted, he'll have to go through Congress.
Do you think OPEC figured in at all on his decision? Was this just all hostile towards Trump, or do you think he's in somebody's pocket?
I don't trust Biden as far as I can throw him. I've lost sight of his. I've lost sight of his corruption. I don't believe in him. I don't believe we have a government. I don't know who's been the president. I just don't trust any of it anymore.
So you're saying anything is possible?
Anything's possible.
Any nonsense I can dream up could possibly happen.
Yeah. Why don't we take a time out and tell you that when we come back, we got to figure out what's going on in the Minnesota legislature. I'm done thinking about that, too, because no one's capable of offering an explanation, nor they are refusing to. The deepest things I've heard, now we lost those guys.
Yep, they're there. But
Hi, guys.
Hi there.
Johnny, it's really dark in your room.
Lights are out apparently.
Do we have defective equipment?
I think so. Just in this moment in time.
I'm having YouTube issues again here.
Okay, I'll be right down.
Thank you.
Can I log on? I forgot to do that today.
Joe, as long as we're waiting, you ready?
To do what?
And so, as Abraham Lincoln sat in Ford's Theater that night, John Wilkes Booth entered, drew his gun, and... Well, that's it. Have a nice summer, everyone.
But what happened in Ford's Theater? Was President Lincoln okay?
He was fine. Go home, Ralph.
I don't get it.
Ralph is the class dunce.
In what show is this,
The
Chris?
one I was referencing earlier.
The Homer Simpson show?
Yes. Joe, I'm sorry. It was a... Sorry. He is. He's trying to be Ralph F. and Wiggum.
Who is?
Tim Walz.
Walsey. What's up, Walsey?
Was President Lincoln okay? Yeah, he was fine, Ralph.
It's fine.
You got her.
Well, it wasn't Ralph that said he's fine. It was the teacher.
Because she's so fed up with his
She
idiocy.
just, right. She's like, okay, goodbye.
And thank you for explaining this to
Yeah,
me.
thank you. I love that we have to break down the Simpsons for
Really crucial that you break this shit
Let's
down
go.
for me.
I guarantee you more people got that reference than you realize. And I'm so glad we're out of Kleenex and I got to use frickin'...
Do we risk playing it or can't we?
I mean, we could. Sure.
Pat, what's the deal?
I'm not sure.
Well, this can't happen. I'm blaming Pat.
Pat.
So I hit the stinger and it just started looping again. It just kept playing over and over again.
Hey. Hi, guys. How are you?
Oh, bonjour. No.
Hello.
Yeah, but then...
And then you have to select your layout again.
Okay. All right. So I should be good then to hit the rejoin bump? All right.
So what was it?
Feel like you hit the button twice again.
But I know I
If it was
didn't.
looping.
No, but I did. I only hit it the one time. And it just kept playing over and over again. The stinger.
Is that the first break you've done today?
Yeah.
Everything was fine yesterday.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Okay. All right. Well, here goes nothing. Can you? Oh crap! I didn't pull up my thing. You're gonna want the Hortman thing here. Is that true, Joe?
What do you have? Audio?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll set it up.
That's.
first.
I was just
Yeah,
wondering if you
yeah,
wanted it.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Rolling.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Apparently, we had dueling press conferences here in the state of Minnesota yesterday. One featured the outgoing Speaker of the House, Melissa Hortman. Would that be a way to refer to her?
Yeah.
And the incoming Speaker of the House, Lisa Demuth. I want to say Demuth. I don't know the correct way to pronounce her name. Does anyone? Staff?
I think
anyone?
it's Demuth, isn't it? I've always heard it that way on the news anyway.
But the Democrats displaying the adult children nature of themselves are threatening to not show up for the work when the legislative session begins January 14th, which would be a week from today, because they do not like the fact that they've lost the majority in the House because of a fouled up election in the Roseville area. And you got to go back and realize that after the races were called, there was an even split between the Democrats and the Republicans in the House.
Right down the middle.
The first such divide since 1979. So what's that, 45 years?
Yes.
9 and 6 is 15.
Yep.
46 years. You had a Democratic state representative, Kurt Johnson, initially winning the District 40B race, but it turned out that character didn't live where he said he lived. He lived in Little Canada, but he wasn't running to represent Little Canada. His opponent was a Republican named Paul Wickstrom, and he successfully sued Johnson, arguing, "You don't live in the district." So that meant the decision left the chamber with 67 Republicans and 66 Democrats. So the Republicans had the majority, even though the House is still shy of its full complement.
Okay.
Right? So we have a January 28 election to settle that Curtis Johnson-Paul Wickstrom dust-up.
Right.
All right. In the meantime, you're scheduled to open a week from today.
Clock's running, baby.
And when you open, Republicans would hold a 67-66 majority.
Yes.
Maybe after the special election, it would be a 68-66 majority or back to a 67-67 split.
Okay.
Who knows?
One or the other.
The speaker designate is Melissa Hortman, who has been the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Oh, we're not going for this. We're not going to see you come back to work.
Yeah, they grabbed their ball and said, "We don't want to play."
We're not going to play because we're at a disadvantage here." Well, it's not our fault, Melissa, that one of your people, this Curtis Johnson fellow, lied and was deceiving the voter by where he lived. So she said Democrats in the House are willing to use all parliamentary tactics available in the absence of a power-sharing agreement. So,
just like they did.
So
with
if
the
we don't
weather
have full power sharing on January 14, we're not coming to work.
That's not very professional.
So
and
how do you feel represented?
Right.
Again, I don't know what. I'm going to try to calm myself.
You're saying that's a pretty bold statement to say we're not coming in, even though we're getting paid.
So in other words, if they do that, then you have no majority in the House. Right now, you have a majority.
Right.
It's the Republicans. But because the Democrats are crying, I somewhat seriously mean that, they're crying and pouting that they don't have their Curtis Johnson fellow elected. So they're saying, well, we're not gonna show up. And Hortman said that. What the Republicans are engaged in is an illegitimate power grab, and we're not going to stand by and just let them do it. It's very unlikely Melissa Hortman would ever come on with us, but I have my request in for Lisa DeMuth to join us.
Okay.
What the Republicans are engaged in is an illegitimate power grab. Well, how is it illegitimate? Help me, staff. Anyone?
It's not. Aren't all the votes in, and that's the way Minnesota voted? You don't get the trifecta every time.
The session starts a week from today, and when the session starts, Democrats, you don't have a majority. What's the illegitimacy? It may very well be rectified on the 28th that you're back to having a majority or an equally split House, but when the session starts, as it is supposed to, you don't have a majority.
Right.
That's too bad.
Right. This is life. You lost.
Republicans say, well, we're not going to tolerate the Democrats not showing up, a move that would render them powerless since Republicans would not have a quorum to conduct business. So in other words, if they don't show up, not showing up would keep the Republicans from accomplishing anything. Follow me so far?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. There's no reason why taxpayers should be on the hook for paying for people that are not going to be at their jobs, said State Rep Lisa DeMuth, the Republican Speaker designate. She said Republicans will look into their options if Democrats don't show up, including recalling them. It sounds to me like they're terribly entrenched as adult children, desperate to spend more of your money to bring about the Minnesota that is becoming ruinous. There is no longer a tie in the state of Minnesota. Democrats will be coming in with 66 members. What that does is gives us an organizational majority that we fully intend to exercise, DeMuth said. You think it would not be the other way around? Do you think the Democrats wouldn't exercise their authority in the event they held the one-seat majority? Of course they would. I looked up Melissa Hortman, don't know a great deal about her. She has a very impressive academic resume. John, she's from out your way. Mm-hmm. Graduated from Blaine High School in 1988. She was born in Fridley. She has 2 children. She has bachelor's degrees in political science and philosophy from Boston University. She graduated magna cum laude in 1991. She has her Juris Doctor from the U of M Law School, cum laude, in 1995. She has a Master of Public Administration from Harvard Kennedy School in 2018. She's been seriously and thoroughly exposed to the failed academy and succeeded. She worked as an intern in the U.S. Senate for Al Gore and John Kerry, and she clerked for Judge John Somerville while in law school. She served on the Brooklyn Park City Human Relations Commission and worked as an assistant county attorney for Hennepin County. So short of the assistant county attorney for Hennepin County, she's never really worked. Now, I don't mean that in a cruel way, but I'm sorry, GLers are not counting this as a work resume. You've been in government your entire life, Melissa. You know nothing else, and it apparently is not bothering you to see this state tailspin under the direction of a governor who should be impeached. So for you to say, and I don't think I'm out of school saying that I watched your press conference and you have a bit of a snarl in your demeanor. Mm-hmm. And you are insisting that you apparently are running the show for the citizens of Minnesota, and you are saying that your worker bees aren't going to show up because you're perturbed, that you think the Republicans are pulling some sort of illegitimate power play here. What's illegitimate? The votes are in. You're down by a House seat. What's illegitimate?
Yeah, this isn't a... She's almost making the comparison of, well, this is a game that we're losing. The Vikings can't say, oh, Detroit scored 2 touchdowns, we want those back.
We're going back to the locker room until we have an equal score on
Exactly.
the scoreboard.
Exactly.
Well, and remember how they
Which they
acted
should have
too.
done, by the way.
They probably should have. You're right.
Who was the gal that got in trouble, broke into her mother-in-law's house?
Johnson, right?
No.
Nicole Mitchell.
Nicole
Mitchell.
Remember how they acted back then?
Well, they should lose Nicole Mitchell, who still is.
Explain to me
Waiting.
what power sharing is. Is it just who's in charge up front? What is it?
It's a good question because there was no power sharing under the 4-year terror of the trifecta. What
Well-
did you have at the end of last session? About a 1,400-page omnibus bill that we don't even know what was in it?
Yeah.
Well,
What was
the
the power
Democrats,
sharing?
they were in charge then, so
Right.
a power sharing wouldn't be necessary.
Well, it's a good question. What does she mean by power sharing?
Doesn't that, I'm assuming, I don't know, I would assume that it means we're tied equal. So who's majority leader and who's minority leader?
I keep checking my phone to see if Lisa got back to me. I didn't leave my number because I wasn't sure if the number I reached was hers. So I said, I'm not leaving you my number, but here's my email. We'd love to hear from you as soon as possible. I don't have it yet. So, okay. How I interpret it, and I'm certainly willing to be corrected, I interpret it that Melissa means we don't have equality here. So therefore, we construe that to not being a power share. Well, go bleep yourself. You lost.
Right.
On January 28th, you might be back in power. Are you going to share power then? What does she mean?
No, not at that point. They won't need to.
Hopefully it doesn't come to that, right? When you
This
think
is
about what's
Melissa.
going on right now, we're in negotiations with Republicans, very similar to labor and management when they have negotiations. No union wants to go out on strike. But if they get to an impasse, first they'll do an informational picket. That's kind of what you're seeing here today. And if they have to preserve the rights of the workers, they will go out on strike. And the people in the union check to make sure there's no scabs and nobody's going to cross the picket line. So we are united in our resolve to negotiate with the Republicans and to achieve a power sharing agreement before the first day of session. We have no interest in denying quorum or using other parliamentary tactics.
Well, yes,
I
you
think
do.
you saw that business can be obstructed by filibuster. The Republicans demonstrated that over a 3-week period last May. There are other tools in the toolbox, and denial of quorum is just one of them.
Stop. Call Garofalo, please. You got his number.
I do.
I just need this explained to me that makes sense.
It sounds like it's an everyone wins type of thing. We all get a trophy. One day one party's in charge, the next day the other party's in charge. I'm sorry for sounding like such an idiot on this, but I truly don't know.
What I do know is that she's never done anything outside of government. Never. Again, this has become a career choice for professional virtue seekers. Her bona fides are really extraordinary. She's pro-choice, pro-gun control. What else
That's
did I read?
tough in this state.
What else did she do? She's against voter ID. She's a committed leftist, an absolute committed leftist. And she's now pouting and sneering and snarling because she doesn't have what she believes to be power sharing. And in the absence of Lisa DeMuth getting back to us or failing to reach Pat Garofalo, we might not know what is meant by power sharing.
Tom downstairs would help us too.
Tom Hauser. Call Tom Hauser next while I do this.
I'll text him.
Text Hauser.
Got it?
They brought in a truckload of Yamaha generators to EcoFund Motorsports in Forest Lake, Columbus. It's on Highway 97, immediately west of 35 Interstate. You can't miss it. And these are incredible sale prices on Yamaha ultra-quiet four-stroke generators. The EF 2200 IS, EF just means it's capable of electric start and it's fuel efficient. That's That goes for $13.99. It's on sale for $7.99 and has a 3-year Yamaha warranty. They've got a variety, the full line of Yamaha generators on sale. This in addition to all other recreational equipment at a place that also happens to be the electric bike capital of the world. Youth recreational equipment, motorcycles, snow removing equipment, snowmobiles, helmets, apparel, service. It's one of the most fun stores you'll ever enter. It's just beautiful. And the one in Forest Lake, Columbus is new. You can't miss it. And down in Burnsville, there's Eco Fun on the Service Road of Life near County Road 42. And a great, great website that really is tempting. That'll get you off your seat. It's just a fun place to be. EcoFunMotorsports.com.
The Earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
We've asked, and he responded. Tom Hauser from 5 Eyewitness News has joined us. Tom's the political expert in town. I believe you were at these dueling press conferences.
I was, for better or worse, yes.
What does Melissa Hortman say? What does she mean when she's saying, unless we have power sharing, we're not showing up for work?
Well, the initial plan, when it appeared there were going to be 67 to 67 to start the session,
right,
was you have to have some kind of a power sharing agreement because the Constitution does not provide for what to do in this case. Should there be a co-speakers?
Right.
Should there be chairman, co-chairs of each committee? So one Democrat, one Republican. So a lot of those things. But once the judge ruled that Curtis Johnson had to relinquish the seat that he had won, that he doesn't hold yet, but to relinquish taking that seat because of that pesky issue of not living in the district.
Right.
Now it's a 67-66 advantage, not a majority, but an advantage for Republicans. So Republicans say there's no power to share because for at least 2 weeks, we have the power.
Right.
So Hortman is saying, well, we're not going to show up. We're not going to give you a quorum, so you can't vote to do anything. Now they're debating, okay, what constitutes a quorum?
Who's being petulant? No one?
You know, I think they're both asserting what they think is right, and Republicans are claiming about Democrats, look, you should have known this candidate you were running for this seat that is heavily Democratic. I mean, anybody with a DFL after the name was going to win that seat. So why they allowed a guy to run where there were questions about his residency is a debate for another day. But Republicans are saying, you should have known this. You didn't, or you claim you didn't. The guy's been ruled ineligible. So all of a sudden, you don't have the same number of members as we do.
Is this a seat Curtis Johnson held or vying for the first time?
No, he was vying for it for the first time. Held currently by a Democrat. Right. He won by thousands of votes. A Democrat will, in all likelihood, unless there's a meteor strike, will win it again on the 28th.
Just because people are they're not informed. I don't know how the people in that area could afford another Democrat, but apparently they always have.
Well, that you could raise that question about all of the districts that are either heavily Democrat or heavily Republican, and you go, how do you see the world so differently from everyone
The whole
else?
state, Tom.
How dare you see the world differently from me?
Yeah.
Okay, so what the Republicans perhaps were hoping to do was get something done in those 2 weeks?
Well, the main thing they want to get done is a Republican House Speaker.
Right, who would be Demuth.
Lisa Demuth. And she would, and the thing about that is, she wouldn't just be Speaker for 2 weeks.
Right.
She would be Speaker for 2 years because it would take 68 votes to remove her.
Right.
And even after Democrats win that special election, it would be 67-67. They wouldn't have the votes to remove her or change any of the rules that are put in place prior to it going back to 67 all.
Yeah, to remove her, they would have to get a Republican to join the 67 Democrats.
Yes.
And that's unlikely.
Very unlikely, yes.
I'm clear now. Basically, Hortman is saying we're not going to allow anything to happen here because we find that to be unfair to happen in a 2-week period.
Her point is the voters went to the polls and delivered 67 Democrats and 67 Republicans. This one Democrat is being forced to relinquish the rights to take that seat, even though he won the election. But Republicans say that's not our problem. He ran knowing he didn't live in the district. A judge ruled on this. There was a lot of evidence that was heard. And so Republicans are saying that's not our problem. That is your problem. And so for 2 weeks until the special election, we're going to have an advantage. So Democrats are saying, well, maybe not, because if we don't show up to give you a quorum, now the question is, do you need a majority of 133 or 134? At full strength, it would be 134, but there's going to be one fewer rep, so 67 would be a majority of 133.
So my question for you, Tom, if it goes back to being tied and this power sharing is enacted, how much of a clown show is that on a daily basis? Does that actually work, power sharing?
Well, we don't know. It only happened one other time back in 1979. It worked really well until it didn't.
Right.
Like my car.
Yes. At the end, literally, I've read accounts of what happened, and I've interviewed some lawmakers who served back then. There was people pounding their shoes on desks and yelling
fantastic.
and screaming. It was
great.
Similar to the end of our last legislative
right.
session. I will make a bold prediction right now based on how everything is going, and we haven't even talked about Scott County yet. When that judge's ruling comes down today or sometime this week, that could throw this into even more disarray.
Right.
But I believe that we're going to be staring at special sessions right up until June 30th, the day before the end of the fiscal year, because they can't even agree, on the shape of the table or the furniture in the room, and the tone has been set, and it's going to be very ugly.
This means job security for you. You should march into your boss's office and demand a raise.
Go down there and say, you cannot afford to be without me for the next 4 years.
And just one last thing on the Scott County thing. Keep in mind, that's the race where Brad Tapke, the Democrat, won by 14 votes, but 20 votes were thrown away. Democrats are claiming, we identified who those 20 ballots belong to. We had at least 6 of them come in and say, I voted for Tabke, meaning there wouldn't be enough votes to overturn it. However, what they conveniently dismiss is that the elections chief down there even admits we can't say with 100% certainty these were the 20 voters.
Oh, boy.
We think it is, but that's just not the way this works. And yesterday, Melissa Hortman, when I brought that point up to her, she goes, it doesn't have to be 100% for sure. It needs to be the preponderance of evidence.
No BS.
I always thought reasonable doubt was a pretty big standard in any legal proceeding. I know usually in criminal trials, but she says it has to be only a preponderance of evidence.
No, it doesn't.
I would think when it comes to voting and whether my vote counted or not, I would think you would want 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you define a preponderance? Put a number to that.
Not when it comes to a vote, I can't.
Yes, it means a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So you go and define what it means to be a lot. But let's just say, for instance, the judge says, we think there ought to be a special election. It's not even clear who then does that. Does it go back to the legislature to decide, that's what we're going to do, or is it up to the governor? We don't know exactly what is going to happen there, but if there is a special election in a district where it was decided by 14 votes, you could conceivably see millions of dollars spent on this one special election in Scott County, in Shakopee more specifically, because control of the Minnesota House would be at stake.
Right.
So a lot of moving parts at the Capitol.
So, Joe, I just need to let you know before Tom heads out, in negotiating his appearance here today on Garage Logic, he did something that Rook and I never would do. He put off lunch to come on the show here
I'm
today.
thinking about running
It's sitting
down
on
there
my
during the
desk
show,
down in the
yes.
newsroom. We have a
My people
microwave.
don't do that.
What was the selection today?
They eat first.
It was pork and rice, and it looks really good with a few different kinds of pickles.
Damn.
It looks.
You better take a long break.
It looks really good.
I would just like to, Tom, tell you that if we're going to invite you down here, you're going to have to look a little more casual, okay? To fit in.
I'm hoping you have tennis shoes on.
Ruining our image.
I have jeans and running shoes on. Doesn't that
Okay.
count?
good.
All right.
Good.
That counts.
Thank
All
you,
right.
sir.
And he's already done his makeup, so he's
It's
good.
business on the top, party on the bottom.
That's right. Thank you very much.
That's enough.
Thank you, guys.
The earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
Kyle had come in and straightened me out on that sharing, and Hauser reaffirmed it. It's not that complicated.
Got it.
Here is John Haidt.
Thank you, Joe. This update is brought to you by North American Banking Company. Minneapolis City Council yesterday approving the terms of a federal consent decree outlining sweeping reforms to the city's police department. Kristen Clark, Assistant U.S. Attorney General with the Civil Rights Division, said the consent decree, if approved, would require the city and the Minneapolis Police Department to follow the court order under the supervision of an independent monitor. She said it covers several areas of concern. Clark said limiting the use of force, closely regulating or eliminating some types of force altogether, and adopting a system of thoroughly and fairly investigative uses of force are part of the agreement. It comes a year and a half after a DOJ investigation found civil rights violations by the city and police department. It also found that MPD was using unjustified deadly force against black and indigenous people. There's no set deadline for the court to rule on the consent decree, but it is expected to happen in the coming weeks. Council members approved the deal 12-0 on Monday following an hours-long closed-door session. Did you guys see one of the members of the council? It said inadvertently missed the vote.
I saw that. Rainville.
How's that happen?
I don't know.
You just forget?
Did you read about this? I don't think police should be engaged in undue force. But this sounds to me like if they don't say pretty please, they're in trouble. They can't do anything. I'm not advocating they should be roughhousing, but they can't do anything.
I do think I have the reason, John, why that person missed the vote.
Yes.
Morrison, aye. Mortensen.
Mortensen, no.
Mortensen, no. Sandell.
Sandell, aye.
Sandell, aye. Thompson.
Thompson, aye.
Okay, here's the deal. They can't even give chase on foot.
Well, if they see them like, oh, cops, run. Yeah, then they can't go after them.
They can't go after them.
Yeah, they have to have a reason.
Maybe they can still chase on foot the guy who just shot somebody on the corner.
Yeah.
In that case, they can.
They're working on that.
Yeah.
For now, anyway.
Yeah. But remember, this is brought to you by people predisposed to have defunded the police in the first place. It's being voted on by a Minneapolis City Council who are against the police. I'm all for civility. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know how much more you can emasculate the police. Good luck to us.
Charlene Briner, Minnesota's interim cannabis czar, is stepping down from her post, Governor Walz announcing yesterday. Walz credited Briner with creating the Office of Cannabis Management, or the OCM, and laying the groundwork for the state's soon-to-come recreational marijuana industry.
What a heck of a run.
Is this the second one to step down? I think this is the second one to leave.
She had a job for 6 minutes.
Well, but she was originally just put in there to...
Because the first one was unqualified.
Yes, and she wanted
then you stick
temporary.
this one in, and she's just temporary.
The first one only lasted half a day.
Half a day,
yeah.
The guy's a knucklehead. Come on. He's a knucklehead.
And now they're talking about legalizing shrooms.
Yeah.
And if they can't get the weed right, what's going to happen with the shrooms?
The news last night showed a jar of the shrooms. One of them was very...
So, Joe, I've always been meaning to ask you, when you eat shrooms, do you have to mix it with Dorito to drown out the horrible taste?
No, I like Wonder Bread, just white bread.
She soaks it up a little more.
Wrap it up in white bread.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Eric Tobel, OCM's general counsel, will take Briner's place as interim director after her departure on January 17th. In her statement, Briner said it's been an honor to assemble and lead the incredible team at OCM that's building something entirely new and necessary for Minnesota, turning the words on the pages of a new law into a living, breathing, high-performing office has been some of the most novel, challenging,
Take it easy, lady.
and rewarding work of my career.
Jeez.
According to Walz's office as general counsel, Tobel has been involved in drafting cannabis market regulations and negotiating a compact with tribal leadership. Before joining OCM, Tobel served as general counsel for the State Department of Education and as an attorney within the Department of Commerce.
Did we talk about this? We may have talked about this a few weeks ago when we were talking about this weed and the equity portion of applying for licenses. And what happened is all these, I don't know what to call them, not felons, ex-criminals.
People with records.
Yeah, applied for these permits and these licenses so they can turn around and sell them.
Right.
It's so
like personal
shifty.
seat licenses
Yeah,
at
like their Viking tickets.
Yeah, exactly. None of them planned on growing weed. All they wanted to do was sell it to somebody else.
Star Tribune reporting, undaunted by his nearly 24 drunken driving convictions, a Minneapolis man with no license was stopped again on New Year's Eve and arrested on suspicion of driving while intoxicated. 69-year-old Michael James Bowser appeared in Hennepin County District Court yesterday on charges of felony drunken driving and fleeing law enforcement in connection with a state trooper pulling him over in Brooklyn Center. Bowser remains jailed in lieu of $60,000 bail after a hearing on. He'll have a hearing ahead of a hearing on January 23rd. A Hennepin County Sheriff's Office social media posting disclosed he has been convicted 21 times for drunken driving. Bowser's still short of the most prolific when it comes to getting caught the most. We talked about this back when it happened in 2018. Danny Lee Betcher already had a state record at the time of 27 drunken driving arrests when he was convicted in Otter Tail County.
You think he uses that? I mean, I hold the record.
Hey, I'm number one.
He's in
On
the,
a
He was
resume?
sweating out Bowser. He was hoping he wasn't going to get stopped.
he's in the lunch line. They're slooping some beans on his
You know,
plate.
Bowser, you haven't killed anybody yet. If you did, we would have heard
Yeah.
about it. There's still time for you to knock this off.
John, was this latest arrest, was it first, second, or third degree DWI? Does it say?
Well, he tried to run afterwards, so I don't know if they added more charges. Told he was under arrest after he was stopped, Osseo Road and Queen Avenue. He drove off at 80 miles an hour.
Okay, so that's got to be first degree. The maximum mandatory bail for second or third degree DWI is $12,000. No maximum for first degree. And you said 60,000.
60,000.
Why not set it at 600,000
Yeah.
and then convict this guy and go way above the sentencing guidelines and keep this guy in jail for the next 20 years? He'll be 89. He'll be dead.
That's what I'd do.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth it to us as taxpayers to keep this guy in jail.
Bowser drove away, as I said, at 80 miles an hour, but crashed. He kept up his flight on foot, but was soon captured.
Now, they were allowed to chase him on foot?
Yes.
All right.
Former U.S. Rep Tim Penny is retiring later this year from the Economic Development Foundation he's helmed for about 20 years. Penny announced Monday he plans to step down as CEO of the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. He plans to stay on as the foundation board looks for a new CEO. You might remember Penny. He served in Congress as a centrist Democrat from 83 to 95, then ran for governor as an independent in 2002. He served as an advisor to then Governor Jesse Ventura. He joined the foundation in April 2007 as its head after a stint of public affairs firm Himley Horner and a fellowship at the University of Minnesota's Hubert H. Humphrey School of Public Affairs.
I remember he would sit in on meetings with the governor, and the governor would say, "Hey, Penny, can I get you 2 cents worth?" You know, he thought that was funny.
Remember, I don't remember who, he and a Republican often teamed on stuff. That doesn't happen anymore.
No, we really don't.
Speaking of
can't
that,
even talk to each
John,
other.
is President-elect Trump coming up in your newscast at all? I normally ask you this during a break, but a listener just sent me a fantastic piece of audio.
I got him in one. Let me read one story about the weather, and then I have a story about his tariffs. In national and international stuff, a winter storm that blanketed the Midwest and mid-Atlantic regions and snow largely subsided by this morning, leaving only bitterly cold temps in its wake. Tens of thousands still remain without power. The storm hammered a swath of the country from Kansas and Missouri to Virginia and New Jersey with heavy snow and ice triggering emergency declarations. The storm broke daily snowfall records in states across the central and eastern U.S. Then it moved south, and in fact now Texas Governor Greg Abbott this morning declaring a state of emergency in response to the polar vortex, which is bringing snow, ice, and freezing rain across Texas. The heavy snow prompted widespread school closures around the U.S. and the shuttering of federal office buildings in D.C. Snow and ice made driving conditions treacherous and led to widespread delays and cancellations at many airports.
Any of you guys upset that we missed out on this event and southern states got it instead of us, and we're sitting here looking at brown grass?
I'm not upset.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not even a little.
Not
All
even
right.
a little bit.
Okay, I'm kind of ashamed. I'm embarrassed for us.
I love the dry garage floor.
Yeah.
Hoods up.
Pardon?
Hoods up.
Absolutely.
I got the sticks.
Kenny, you want to go over and start Joe's car for him?
Only the one that's been winterized.
Stop bringing that up, would you?
I think that led to that car's demise.
No, it didn't.
Uh-oh.
No, it didn't.
Some confusion over President-elect Trump's tariff plans yesterday. Rapidly changing signals on that topic caused a lot of market whiplash following a Washington Post story outlining discussions among top Trump aides centered around a more limited set of tariffs that would be universal but only apply to what are deemed critical imports. Well, just a few hours after that story appeared, the president-elect himself weighed in to flatly deny the story. Writing on social media, the story incorrectly states that my tariff policy will be pared back. That is wrong. The back and forth led the U.S. dollar index down and back up Monday morning in reaction to the mixed messages.
Thank you to loyal GLer Mike for sending me this 59-second piece of audio gold. President-elect Trump, gentlemen, is in Palm Beach, Florida. He held a little press briefing, or to some degree. He's got some plans that he's announcing.
Mexico's really in trouble, a lot of trouble. Very dangerous place. And we're going to be announcing at a future date pretty soon. We're going to change because we do most of the work there and it's ours. We're going to be changing sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate.
Oh, sorry, Don.
And Mexico has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop them. And we're going to put very serious tariffs on Mexico and Canada, because Canada, they come through Canada too, and the drugs that are coming through are at record numbers.
The
Didn't
Gulf
he-
of America.
Didn't he propose absorbing Canada and just making it
51st
part of?
state.
He sent one of the kids up to Greenland to try to buy it.
Is it for sale?
Yeah, well, Don thinks it is.
Okay.
Contract for deed, or how are we going to do
Don
that?
operates this way. Everything's for sale.
Everyone's got a number.
Everyone's got a number.
It's not a bad idea. Just absorb both Mexico and Canada. Let's just take it over.
What? I like the sound of the Gulf of America.
Gulf of America.
John, who, that attitude, John, who's that remind you of?
Much of that,
Wow.
much of that Gulf encompasses America as it does Mexico.
You're saying in terms of shoreline?
Yeah.
How do you change the name of a body of water?
What's a good question? That would have to go through a committee.
Is there a record keeping of some
Probably.
sort?
Well,
There's
Maybe a
probably
ledger
name.
somewhere.
You know, it is possible. There's a lake up by me. It used to be Mud Lake, and the local tree huggers changed it to Golden Pond.
Shut
That was
up.
Heights
I-
Lake. Mud Lake was your lake, John.
No, Dead Lake.
Oh, Dead.
Dead
That's
Lake.
right. I knew it was a bad one. Bad lake name.
And you can smell this lake from a mile off. It is a stinkeroo, but it's Golden Pond. Yeah, Golden Pond.
Dead Lake's a gorgeous lake. Kenny, you might know it. It's over by
I do.
Peru.
I know it very well.
Well, that's a bad lake name.
Very pretty.
That's like
It is.
pus or,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
bad lake name.
Well, apparently the story is, and I don't know if it's true, is that it in the old days the Indians, the natives, used it as a burial ground, and that's how it became.
Just throw them in the drink?
Apparently, yeah,
Wow.
and that's, I don't know if that's just a county rumor in Otter Tail County or what.
Get the lake detective on that one.
Right.
Italians do that a lot around New York, don't they?
Oh,
Yeah, but it's not a lake. It's an ocean.
it's a whole different story.
Where'd you want me to put them?
Have some cement attached to them.
Yeah.
That was one of the greatest lines where he looks. He says, no. We had a nice ceremony and everything for him.
Yeah.
Is that for the Sopranos?
They had chopped them up into little pieces at Satriali's meat market.
No, we had a nice little ceremony.
Jesus.
Elon Musk has been using his X social media platform in recent weeks to criticize political figures in Britain, Germany, and Canada. They're starting to fight back. He didn't mention him by name, but British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said in a news conference yesterday in response to a reporter's question that Musk and others like him who disseminate false information online have gone too far. Starmer pushed back on them for spreading lies that amounted to what he called the poison of the far right. He said those doings were not interested in the victims. Musk has been appointed by Trump along with Vivek, to co-lead the Department of Government Efficiency. He was a major donor, of course, to Trump's presidential campaign, but recently has attacked Canada, Germany, and Great Britain on
These
X.
people are crazy. There's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with them. They also want to go back, and they have already started that, to when you buy a faucet, no water comes out because they want to preserve. Even in areas that have so much water, you don't know what to do. It's called rain. It comes down from heaven. And they want to do no water comes out of the shower.
No.
It goes drip, drip, drip. So what happens? You're in the shower 10 times as long. You know.
Yeah,
No water comes out of the faucet. You want to wash your hands. They want to go back to even stronger than what they have right now. As you know, I ended that policy. You can have all the water you want. It makes no difference. It comes weird, especially in certain areas. We have so much water, we don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
The next 4 years are just.
I don't
gonna
want
be
a
so much
faucet
fun.
where nothing comes out.
You want to drip.
I don't want to drip. I want a steady flow.
I've almost reached a point where I can't tell if it's one of the comedians who imitates him or
John,
him.
I'm not kidding. That's
Thanks, John.
exactly what I was thinking when I was listening to that in Q. Like, this almost sounds like it's COVID.
Exactly. I got a TV story here that I know these confuse all of us. Joe, you especially.
Yeah.
This one confuses me. Disney has agreed to combine its Hulu and live TV service with Fubo TV, forming North America's second largest live TV streamer. The combined business will boast more than 6 million subscribers behind YouTube TV's 8 million. The deal resolves litigation over the formation of Venue Sports. That apparently was a joint venture from Disney's ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers, which a judge blocked last year after Fubo TV sued on antitrust grounds. As part of this legal settlement, Disney, Fox, and Warner Brothers will pay Fubo $220 million in cash. Disney will additionally provide a $145 million term loan to Fubo in 2026. If the Fubo-Disney deal fails to close or gain regulatory approval, Disney will owe Fubo a $130 million termination fee. Disney will own 70% of the combined business, which will operate under the publicly traded Fubo name. Fubo and Hulu Plus Live TV will be available to subscribers, but separately.
Oh, my God.
The deal,
I heard the word Disney and Fubo.
the deal
What a
excludes
ripoff.
Hulu's original content streaming platform.
What are we going to call it? F.U. Lou?
Do you know the NFL has a Saturday night playoff game this weekend?
Yeah.
That's on Prime.
Correct.
Video. Well, so there's a lot of people that won't be able to watch it.
Well, this is not new. This happened last year.
They did it last year, too, yeah.
And
Won't they give the locals whatever?
the local audiences, so
In each town?
who is it?
Well, whoever's playing Saturday
But if I'm
night,
in Nebraska, they're not.
Yeah, if you're not in that market of that team, you ain't
You
getting
gotta
it.
have Prime.
But
Wow.
they don't do that for the Wild when the Wild are on stupid ESPN,
Yeah.
that app.
John, you will get a thorough explanation of that with Mr. Money Talk
Oh,
at the
good.
conclusion
The
of this
Fubo
program.
Lou thing?
Yeah.
Fubo Lou.
I was confused, but Josh explained it pretty well, actually, and what
Got
it
it.
means in terms of money and whatnot.
Oh, I don't care about that. I just care about what I got to watch.
Noted.
Things are not going well for the Washington Post. The Post announced yesterday it will be laying off 4% of its employees. Morale in the newsroom has plummeted in the wake of an exodus of top talent from the Jeff Bezos-owned broadsheet, according to a report. News of the layoffs came on the heels of Friday's resignation from the Washington Post by Pulitzer Prize-winning cartoonist Ann Telnaes, who quit in protest of the paper's decision not to publish a cartoon that depicts Bezos and other billionaires kowtowing to President-elect Donald Trump. The Post suffered another blow as one of its top political reporters, Josh Dawsey, is leaving the publication and taking up a position with the Wall Street Journal. Dawsey made the announcement over the weekend. He's known for his scoops and his investigative reporting. He's expected to begin his new gig as political investigations reporter for the Wall Street Journal starting next month. White House reporter Tyler Page, along with Dowsey, were two of several Washington Post staffers who were mulling a transfer or have already decided to exit. The Journal's parent company, Dow Jones, is owned by the Post's corporate parent, News Corp. Late October, two Washington Post staffers quit its editorial board in protest of Bezos' decision to block an endorsement of the Democratic nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris. They also lost 250,000 subscribers because of that. The Amazon founder denied the decision was motivated by his desire to ingratiate himself with Trump, said he's just trying to safeguard his other business interests.
Go back to the editorial cartoonist who resigned.
Yes.
And her name is what?
Ann Telnaes.
Did you see the cartoon?
I did, yep.
It's just a giant figure of Trump. You don't even see his head or his face. But at his feet are the supplicants, among them Bezos, offering a pot of gold or something.
Yeah,
you know.
all the social media guys.
It's my contention that it may not very well have been Bezos who killed that. It could be the people who are trying to appease Bezos, who work for the paper and don't want to irritate Bezos, because it was really fairly benign in the world of ripping people. It was fairly benign. Am I defending Bezos?
Well, that was what ran through my head when Johnny read that was, does that person that blocked that really think Jeff Bezos would be offended? I mean, he's got other stuff going on.
No, he's actually been controlling the editorial content for a while.
Okay.
He's been killing stories and the like.
Is it shades of this editorial cartoonist who Minnesota's paper brought on board and then quit?
It could be comparable, yeah.
Quit because he wasn't allowed to, one of his cartoons was squelched.
Was it Walls related?
No, it was shooting people on the streets.
That's right.
I can't
Crime.
remember.
It was highlighting
Crime
the
in
violence.
Minneapolis.
He only paid $250 for that in 2013.
250 what? Million?
Yeah.
It's worth about 250,000.
Oh, is it that bad off?
Oh, it's worth more than that, but it wasn't worth 250 million.
That's like just your opinion, man.
It is. It is
Over
just
the
my
line,
opinion.
Don, over the line.
I mean, Bezos over there on a yacht somewhere. I mean, do you really think he would have been bothered by that cartoon? But the people,
That's what I think.
the people that he's got running the paper, probably trying to protect their own.
He overrode
behinds.
his own. He overrode his own publisher to kill Washington Post's Kamala Harris endorsement. So he has stepped in before.
Well, that's where they lost the 250,000 subscribers. When he did that, they lost a 250,000 subscribers.
Wow.
So,
but the paper did not endorse Trump.
They didn't endorse anybody.
They didn't endorse anybody.
Correct.
What were
Newspaper
the other
endorsements carry about as much weight as.
Right.
But the problem was the editorial team had written the endorsement of Kamala Harris, and he stepped in and said, "No, we can't run this."
Is this comparable to Goober-Nose owning Twitter? Elon?
Goober-Nose?
I see he's in a dust-up right now with someone who criticized him, and he's prevented that person from being on Twitter. It's in the news today. Look it up.
I saw
don't know
that.
the details.
No, you're right. I saw that.
Yeah.
I don't get my news from Twitter.
I hope not. John, thank you very much.
I'll just be quiet about
All right.
Elon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
All right.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
I love the term fossil fuels. It's a big debate going on who coined that term fossil fuels. Was it Rockefeller or was it some nerd in a smock at a college? Doesn't matter. The dinosaur bones, fossil fuel, once a wonderful commodity that served us well, is now just hot garbage that really doesn't last very long at all. That's where Seafoam comes in. It really doesn't fix the fuel. That's going to be hot garbage no matter what. What Seafoam does is protect your cylinders, your ports, and everything else inside of that engine. Doesn't matter if it's gasoline or diesel. Doesn't matter how big it is, how small it is. You add 2 or more ounces per gallon to a low tank of fuel, and your entire system will clean out. Yeah, it's going to smoke for a little bit, but it's pretty cool. It's a white smoke. It's really neat. When that smoke clears, you know it's done its job. If you just use it every now and then on your daily driver, just toss in about an ounce per gallon, and it really works good. The main thing it's going to do is it's going to keep your vehicle out of the shop. If you want to get technical about it, your engine will run better. It'll last longer. It recovers poor engine performance, helps common engine problems caused by this garbage gasoline, and it cleans and lubricates critical engine areas, and it preserves starting fluids. That means she jumps to life the second you turn it over. Seafoam motor treatment, available the world over, pretty much everywhere you go. Look for it in your local Knack hardware store, auto parts stores, big box, doesn't matter. But if you don't want to leave the house, it's really easy. Just log on to seafoamworks.com. Order it in. A wonderful product in a world of hot garbage gas, Seafoam.
Has the movement begun to set us up for another pandemic? We had the first American who died of bird flu was in Louisiana. I have it on very good authority that person would have died from the regular flu, much less bird flu.
Okay.
That person was very ill anyway.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But I'm now reading that reports circulating on social media, so take that for what it means, as well as news outlets, suggest that China has declared a state of emergency following the widespread outbreak of multiple respiratory viruses, including influenza A, human metapneumovirus,
Just say it wrong. We're not going to correct you.
Metapneumovirus.
Manure.
HMPV, and videos and posts claim that hospitals and crematoriums are overwhelmed by the rising number of cases and fatalities. They describe a rapidly deteriorating situation in China, with hospitals allegedly struggling to cope with the surge in cases. These claims have sparked widespread concern, which is a cliche sentence. But have they, in fact, sparked widespread concern? I don't know.
Is this because somebody ate a bat?
I don't know. But what were the
that?
4 things I said would have us in martial law?
We got to have borders. We got to have...
you got the alien invasion.
Well, am I thinking of something different?
No, I said there's 4. I said something's going to happen. And I've yet to identify what it is because I don't know, but I predict it's one of 4 things. It's going to be either another pandemic that would place us under martial law, the revelation of extraterrestrial life or artificial intelligent life that would so frighten people that will have to be placed under protection.
All right.
What was the other ones? Come on, I had 2 more.
I don't think I was paying attention, but I'll try. Law? No.
Whatever. I'm
you
not.
And you said before the 20th, so
Yeah,
13 days.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm not masking up yet. I hope I don't behave the way I did the first time. Although.
But there's no way this country will respond the same way it did in 2020.
Fully half the country will.
I don't even. Do you guys think even
Dr. Jill is already wearing a mask. in public.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of Democrats that just aren't gonna buy it, even though they're told to. They're wiser than that, and common sense is going to prevail.
The thing is, who gives a rat's ass who wears a mask? The thing we need to be concerned about is, are they going to make us wear a mask?
Yeah.
That's the concern.
Well, I certainly hope not. I don't think I could take it.
I do have some good news about this infection, though. There's a doctor in Texas who specializes in this. He said, nothing to worry about. It's been circulating for a while. People have some immunity, and says that COVID-19, which often mutated, that's what caused the problems with that. This doesn't mutate, so it just stays.
John, is there any truth to the rumor that a heavy application of myrrh will help calm down
that's going to be flying off the shelves now.
You spread it on your
Frankincense
chest or
and
something?
myrrh. The myrrh is merely an ointment.
And frankincense is the smelly stuff, right?
Gold is gold. Frankincense is, you
The
burn that
priest
as
thing,
incense.
ding, ding, ding.
And myrrh was what is it, John?
It can be used as a medicinal thing. It's a resin from a tree is how it starts.
Yeah.
But then it's also turned into fragrant things too. So you just have things sitting around your house that smell.
Can
good,
you smoke
apparently.
it? Does it make you
you
goofy?
do that with the frankincense.
We had incense on Christmas Day Mass at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And you know what? One thing that really bothered me?
I don't know.
The priest only did 2 clinks.
I like a lot of clinking.
I like 3.
I like more. I like a lot of clinking.
Wait a minute. So did you fold your hand and go, wait a minute.
I didn't give
You
anything.
got 2 clinks?
When the basket came back, I didn't give anything.
I want
are you
6 or
people-
7 clinks.
What are you talking about?
When you what's the word?
Go
I
around
want?
the altar, present the people.
You got the incense burning in a little gold pot, and it's on the end of
Why
a
are
chain.
you burning incense?
yeah,
What
there's
are you
a-
covering up?
We got our
Big
rules.
chain, Kenny.
It
Think of a
just
big
smells
chain.
good.
And it sounds good when the chain clinks.
And the chain
Yes.
often clinks against the bowl holding
like Joe
the
does
burning
with the
incense.
microphone.
Yes. Yeah,
So
right.
then you can smell it, Kenny, and the priest will say something.
And then it just wafts through the entire
I don't know what
church.
we're trying to hide.
Smells great.
Yeah, somebody's burning a big Bob Marley joint? What?
No,
Not quite.
I don't think it's that so much.
He wants all gas heaters out of your homes and apartments. He wants them to be replaced by essentially electric heaters. I don't know what it is with electric. This guy loves electric. We're going to be ending the electric car mandate quickly, by the way. This guy loves electric. And we don't have enough electricity. And then we have AI where we need more. And he wants everybody to have an electric heater instead of a gas heater. Gas heater is much less expensive.
Yep.
The heat is much better.
Yep.
It's a much better heat.
Better heat.
As the expression goes, you don't itch. Does anybody have
What?
Wait, what?
What? You're kidding me.
No, that's why I played
I
it.
want a non-itch heat.
See?
Non-itch heat.
Is that too much to ask
No,
for?
I
Is that because it's so dry? Is that what he's
Yes,
trying
I
to
think
refer
that's.
to?
Yeah.
I think in his own desperate way, that's what he was trying to get to.
You
All
don't
right.
itch.
Itchy scalp.
I don't want to itch.
Let me give you an update here, okay?
Yeah.
A thurible is the metal censer in which incense is burned during services.
A thurible.
Thurible, suspended from chains, is gently swung by the priest
Yeah.
in order to spread the fragrant smoke of the incense.
And it makes
There you
almost a musical sound
Yeah.
when the chain
Yeah.
It's a
clanks
rhythm.
against the thurible.
It's
And
really,
what does that have to do with going to heaven and or hell?
it's all a piece of the puzzle.
Doesn't have anything to do with it.
Wrap
It's
her all
part
up
of
into
the part of the ceremony.
You'll learn more here by accident
Thank you.
than elsewhere by design.
What do you
Here's Joe
Lutherans? What do you
Souchere.
Lutherans burn?
Weed out in the parking lot
Okay, got
right
it.
before
Gotcha,
service.
Gotcha.
You ready yet? Nope.
No.
So let me hit this 2 more times. I'm not a Lutheran, by the way.
Oh, you are a Presbyterian.
Lutherans don't sing. They can't sing. They just,
Harvard study finds wind turbines will cause more warming in Minnesota than emissions reductions would avert. These are 10 stories I'm getting that are supposed to be the top stories. Abandoned wind turbine blades litter southern Minnesota field. We had that. 8 reasons to vote against the lottery amendment. We lost that. We tried to tell people to vote against it. What America needs to know about Tim Walz. These are the top 10 stories of the year. The truth about Governor Walz and the National Guard. The data show that downtown Minneapolis has had the worst recovery of daytime and weekday activity in the U.S. Xcel Energy shuts down Sherburne County Unit 2 coal unit as a grid reliability worsens. School board members throw down the gauntlet. In Anoka Hennepin, Minneapolis City Council passes wage hike, lift leaves city, drivers' wages crash to zero, and Lakeville development proposed for parcel allegedly bought by feeding our future funds. Remember that one? We talked about it yesterday.
There were 76 homicides in Minneapolis in 2024, up from 72 the previous year.
Only because they come to us all the way from Lake Las Vegas, Nevada, the temporary home of the traveling Lymans. It was on this day.
Joe, today is January 7th.
In 1816, Stephen Miller was born in Carroll, Pennsylvania. After moving to Minnesota at age 42, he was a general in the Civil War and served as the state's 4th governor. From 1864 to 1865, he died in Worthington on August 18, 1881. On this day,
July, Cheapers, Christmas, January 7th.
In 1850, John R. Irvin obtained a license to operate a ferry across the Mississippi at St. Paul's Upper Landing, formerly the foot of Chestnut Street.
Yes, and how did you arrive in the capital city
By
today?
ferry.
Yes.
The city's Irvin Park is named for him. On this day in 1857,
1-7,
the Congregational Church in Faribault was dedicated, with Reverend Lauren Armsby serving as first pastor. Do you remember that name?
Reverend Lauren Armsby?
On this day,
January 7th,
in 1873, the blizzard of 1873 struck, with temperatures of 49 degrees below zero, winds of 75 miles an hour. We only have that kind of weather now.
Right.
They didn't have that weather then. Over the next 2 days, 70 people died in the western and southern parts of the state. Conditions were so blinding that in New Ulm, a boy who had to cross the street from a barn to his home was found frozen 8 miles away, and a rural man and his ox team froze to death 10 feet from his house.
Why didn't they have the string thing?
Yeah, you got to have the rope.
Wow, 10 feet from his house.
Oh, that poor child.
On this day,
on January 7th,
in 1917, on this Sunday, was a Sunday then,
okay,
all Catholic priests in the St. Cloud Diocese were required to give at least one sermon in English.
Wow.
That's pretty good, huh?
They were making some changes, weren't they?
And finally, on this day,
January 7th is today.
In 1972, after a lengthy battle with alcoholism, Pulitzer Prize-winning poet John Berryman jumped to his death from the Washington Avenue Bridge in Minneapolis.
Sad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Indulge me for a second.
Yeah.
Worthington.
Worthington.
What's the county?
I don't know.
Nobles.
I don't do, huh?
Nobles. Nobles.
Oh, I didn't know that.
N. It's an N county.
Isn't that, by the way,
KWOA,
isn't
big
that
juggernaut.
hated Worthington?
The N counties are Nicollet, Nobles, Norman.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I did not know that. What county? Worthington.
Worthington.
That's in Nobles County. Is Worthington the county seat?
County seat.
See, I don't-
KWOA, the big juggernaut.
I don't do seats. I just do the county.
Hey, now.
Well, maybe you can work on that in
Same.
2025.
No, I'm going to do governors.
Oh, that's right. You're doing governors
Well,
this
you
year.
keep saying that, but it's not happening.
Well, you don't want me to do it in front of you.
Yeah, you want to spring it on us.
Kind of like that seat thing.
It's like me learning a song. I don't want you guys to hear it until I know it. So, see, same
What's the
thing.
song we wanted John to do?
It was a promotional song for something.
I once
It
said
was a
Oh, was it for
tourism.
my fake Mount Everest?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
it's
what it
fake
was.
Mount Everest song.
How'd
That's
that go,
right.
John?
How'd it work out for you, John?
I didn't.
Got that
Still
ready
putting
to
the
go.
pieces together.
I didn't have time.
One day
yeah.
closer.
Really
It's a
busy.
blues riff and B.
All right. Thank you, GLers.
Do us a favor, if you wouldn't mind. Please subscribe to the Garage Logic YouTube channel. Rook, did you know that Garage Logic has a YouTube channel?
I was on it for the entire show, watching people leave and come back during the breaks. Yes, it's very entertaining.
And sometimes it even works. It's great. So make sure that you hit subscribe. It's right there on the Garage Logic YouTube channel where you can watch the show each and every single day starting around noon. There's also full segments, some video shorts, behind the scenes coverage in some cases. It's all right there on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. You can also follow us along on all of our social media channels. Just search for Garage Logic. And don't forget to sign up for the Daily Logician. It's an email. It comes right to your inbox each and every single day. It includes the most recent episode of the podcast. It also includes a weekly note directly from the mayor himself. It's called Saturdays with Such. Yeah.